facing to a bodice with the understitching. It's just like the V-neck, but the other way, the opposite way. So this is my facing, this is my body. I'm going to place the facing on top, so it's going to be face to face. And then I'm going to sew a quarter seam again because I'm adding a facing to the body of the garment, so the seam allowance is a quarter. Okay, I'm going to sew back tack. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way across and back tack again. This is going to really help with the strength in this corner here, because we're going to pop that corner and make it nice and sharp. Okay, now I'm going to do another quarter seam around the neck. So I'm going to start here, back tack again. Now the easiest way to sew this is straighten the line out. Straighten the seam out. This is a technique that my sample sewer showed me, and it works really well when you're sewing quarter seams. You can't really do this when you're sewing a 1/2-inch seam. So as you can see, I'm just going to sew, okay, and then back tack. When I'm finished, you'll see it's this nice, beautiful quarter seam. Okay, I'm going to clip. All right, now this corner right here, we're going to clip this corner. So right there I'm clipping, but as you can see, I still have the double needle here, not double needle, sorry, back tacking on each end, so it's not going to come apart. Okay, so now we're going to pop that corner, and you can use the tip of your scissors just a little bit to kind of push that through, and you have this nice sharp point. Okay. All right, now the understitching. The understitching, again, we're going to lay the seam so it's on top of the facing. The facing is flat and separate from the bodice. And we're going to do that edge stitch. So your thread or your seam is going to be just underneath this presser foot leg. And we're going to sew what I call sewing into the cup. So as you can see, this is a cup that we're going to be sewing into. You want to make sure that that's flat, so just kind of pull the fabric and keep that nice and flat. Now when we sew into the cup, we can't go all the way in. We're going to go as far as we can, that's about good enough. And I'll show you after I clip how far I went up. Okay, so you can see that I ended about a 1/2 inch or so from the actual corner. Okay? All right, so now we're going to do the same thing on the neck. Again, the seam allowance must always be laying on top of the facing. Okay, so we're going to lay that flat. We're going to start right here. This time, this stitch is going to be just underneath this presser foot. Now when I do this, again, I'm going to straighten out the seam. So do you see how I straightened it out? And then I'm going to start sewing. Okay, I'm going to sew into that cup, and as you can see, I'm pulling to straighten out that seam. Okay, when I'm finished, again, I didn't go all the way, but I went pretty close. All right, so there's my understitching. And as you can see that once I do the understitching, it, again, helps the facing roll onto the inside of the garment. So the outside, you don't see any understitching, you don't see any seam, it's rolled over very nicely. Okay, now, again, this holds the shape. The next thing that we're going to do is on the next video, we're going to actually sew a patch pocket to this particular body.